Issue of the woman who was abandoned at Gomwa Ojobi by the trauma and specialist hospital. This issue has gained much attention and there have been much development in this particular news. As I speak to you, the medical director responsible for this particular unfortunate incident has been relieved of his duty as the medical director for the hospital. On the 14th of June 2024, the Ghana Health Service, together with other stakeholders, held an emergency meeting to go into the details of the issue, which this particular medical director was invited to give an account to what really transpired. But in a letter released by the Ghana Health Service, it seems what the medical director reported is quite different. And according to the medical director, he says what the media reported was not actually what really transpired during this whole process. The said medical director, Dr. Pra George Kwame, has also written a long statement giving an account to what really happened at the hospital on that fateful day, or from the time the woman was admitted into the hospital. It is quite a lengthy of words he put together there. But yesterday, kind courtesy TV3, Mr. Alfredo Kansi, he gave excerpts of this particular letter written by the medical director of the trauma and specialist hospital in Uniba, and I'm going to be reading it out to you to also make conclusion out of it. It says, report on an incident involving unknown person on 29th May. It goes, on the above mentioned date, the National Ambulance Service called the social welfare officer of the hospital to inquire as to whether the hospital was ready to accept an unknown knockdown person by a hit and run driver, and the response was in affirmative. So it continues. After the necessary examinations were done, plaster of Paris (POP) was cast on both lower limbs of the patient due to fracture of the tibia bones. The hospital, as usual, took absolute responsibility for feeding, medication, and housekeeping of the patient. So they helped the woman in all these or throughout her stay in the hospital. Then he continues to also says, the patient had been on admission for 6 days and finally discharged on the 3rd June 2024 after being declared well. The medical record is tendered in as evidence. So my little problem is the woman, according to what doctor is saying here, he says she was discharged on the issue that she was well. But then looking at the woman lying by the roadside clearly indicates it all was not well. All was not well with the woman. Meanwhile, based on the outcome of the interaction between the social welfare officer and the patient, it was established that the patient hailed from Gomwa Ojobi community, and that also confirmed where the national ambulance picked her up. At certain point in time during the treatment process, the patient became disoriented and started to exhibit some amount of violence. However, after gaining some strength and consciousness, the patient was calm and wished to have been sent back to where she was picked. This is where I have a little problem with that. She was disoriented, meaning psychologically she had problem when it comes to her psychological issues, because in the report it's clear that she was exhibiting some kind of violence and she was acting some way. So then if this person, you declared her being fit or well and is being taken to where she was picked, I think it's not all that sorry to say. I don't have any knowledge when it comes to medical and its related activities, but then to pick somebody on the floor or on the in the bush, and you say she's fit enough, and upon her request you are taking her back to where you pick her from, I think this is not that clear to me. Then he continues, moreover, After the patient was declared well by the clinicians, coupled with the fact that she was itching to leave the hospital, a consensus was reached by the two social welfare officers to send her back to Gomua Ojobi as agreed by the two social workers. Oh, this is so sad. So she was itchy, she was eager to leave the hospital. The patient can decide for herself here, because she has become your responsibility as to whether you know the family or not. She has become your responsibility, and as medical people, you will know whether she is fit for discharge or not. At this juncture, the hospital ambulance, accompanied by the social welfare officer and a staff of the hospital, were detailed to transport her accordingly to the preferred destination of her choice, after clothing her nicely and made available to her a wheelchair. Wow, this is so sad. So to her choice, a destination of her choice. So my question is the bush, or was the bush her destination? I don't think so. Even if it was her destination, why should we abandon her? Even if you took her to the family and they ignored her, it is a whole story there. But then the hospital took her to that destination and even says they gave her a wheelchair. Now, is the wheelchair her property, or it was the property of the hospital? It's sad in this case. Then again, before the departure from the hospital to Ojobi, the social welfare officer interacted with his counterpart at Ojobi to inform her that the patient was being brought back to Ojobi and she assured to take over. So how come she didn't end up in the hands of the family members or family member, but rather in the bush? This is so sad. The family and other people are seeking for justice for this old woman who was abandoned to death. So we hope this incident in the coming days does not repeat itself. We hope that going forward it is resolved. Thank you very much for watching me.